Politicians in Gambia are looking to overturn a landmark ban on female genital mutilation that was imposed in 2015. It would remove legal protections for millions of girls and women. Hundreds of people who support repealing the ban marched in the capital, Banjul, as Parliament debated the issue. 42 of the 47 members of the National Assembly voted to send the bill for further committee discussions. They could return to a vote in weeks. The United Nations estimates that nearly 3/4 of women and girls between the ages of 15 and 49 have undergone that procedure in Gambia. Well, let's speak to Jaha Dukureh. She's an activist and the founder of Safe Hands for Girls. She joins us now from Banjul. Jaha, female genital mutilation was outlawed in Gambia, 8 years ago? But I understand it was only really enforced in recent years. Is that what's triggered this pushback? Jaha, just checking that you can hear me. I'm asking you about the timing of what we're seeing. Is it because it was only recently enforced?
No, the bill, are you asking about the bill against FGM?
Yes.
The bill was enacted in 2015, so that was in recent. That was nearly 10 years ago.
I'm asking about the repeal of the ban. So today, we've seen a move towards repealing the ban on FGM. And I understand in 2015, when the law was passed, it was punishable by up to 3 years in prison, but then it was only enforced in recent years. Is that correct?
Well, when Jammeh was here, it was enforced during that time as well. And because of who Jammeh was, he banned FGM, so everyone was scared of practicing FGM. When Jammeh says don't do something, no one really does it. So I think recently what happened is not only was it enforced, but because of the religious leaders coming out and not only paying the bail, but also inciting survivors and invalidating our stories and saying that FGM doesn't happen in the Gambia, they only practice circumcision. So I think that's what's driving the rhetoric that we are seeing.
The practice, though, is incredibly widespread in Gambia. You yourself have long been a campaigner against it. Can you explain why it's so damaging and dangerous?
I mean, not only am I a survivor of FGM and a campaigner, but I had a sister that bled to death. And, you know, the people that are pro-FGM in this country, a lot of them are men. These are men that don't have the same lived experiences that we do. And women who have been through this practice continue to tell them every single day what their suffering is, what their pain is. And every time a survivor comes out and shares their story, these men always go out and say that they're lying and they're Western agents. They are being paid by the West to say that FGM is bad, but they have no issues. That's what's happening in the Gambia at the moment.
Jaha, I was interested to see, when you look at the pictures of those people in the streets who are demanding that this ban be overturned, it's remarkable to see how many of them are women, too, saying it's their right to follow a religious practice. What would you say to them?
I mean, a lot of them are young girls. Like, for instance, one of my cousins was in that audience, and I asked her, what are you doing here? And she said she has no idea. Her religious school brought them out. So a lot of them that are there, yes, there are some of them that do believe in FGM, but there are a lot of young girls that were in that audience that do not even know why they were there.
Well, some argue that legislating around a cultural practice like this isn't very effective, that you need to change attitudes first. How do you do that?
I mean, cultural norm takes time. That's why education is important. That's why sensitization is important. But this is about child abuse, and this is wrong. We know that FGM is harmful. We've seen women die from this practice. We've seen girls suffer from this practice. And there's no way that we can twist it to make it right. Wrong is wrong.
You say this has been driven by men. I see just a very tiny proportion of Gambia's lawmakers are women. Are there concerns that this could set the scene for, say, repealing bans on child marriage?
Yes, I think this is just the opening. I don't think this is only about FGM. I think this is bigger than FGM. I think if they succeed with repealing the law against FGM, they'll come after the child marriage law. Who knows, they might even come after the domestic violence law. And the next thing we know, the Sexual Violence Act. So I think this is bigger than FGM. This is about the control of women and their bodies.
Jaha Dukureh there, an activist and founder of Safe Hands for Girls. Thank you for joining us on Al Jazeera today.
Thank you for having me.